The Indian mind for centuries has probed into the nature of the self and of cosmos. In spite of this, today, it is completely materialistic. What has happened to that ancient wisdom of the mind? The Indian mind for centuries has probed into the nature of the self and of cosmos. In spite of this, today it is completely materialistic. What has happened to that ancient wisdom of the mind? Shall we talk all this together? Because for the last, the speaker has been every winter for the last 50 years coming to this country, traveling abroad, going all over the place. And one sees the decline, not only in Europe and America, but also especially, obviously, palpably, the decline in this country. The speaker has been asking various scholars, politicians, some scientists and so on, what has happened, or what is the quality of Indian mind? Of course, it's a vast generalization to say what is the Indian mind, because the Indian mind varies from north, south, east, and west. But assuming that it's inaccurate to put such a generalized question, but knowing that, and probably it's incorrect to say what is the Indian mind. You're following me? What is the Indian mind? And the questioner says, the ancient people of this country. This country has exploded all over Asia at one time, historically. As Greece, ancient Greece exploded, waves all over the West. Right? We're following each other. And the questioner asks, what's happened to the Indian mind? So we are going to, if you will, going to inquire, what is the Indian mind today? Is that all right? Are you interested in it? What actually is the Indian mind today? Not go back to the ancient world and be proud about it, or that we are a very ancient race and all that kind of business. But actually, when you begin to investigate what's the Indian mind, knowing a generalization is always inaccurate, because you can't generalize the whole. What's the European mind, or the American mind, or the British mind? But if we begin to inquire into what is not only the human mind, the mind of humanity, but also to particularize that mind geographically as India, What is our mind? I wonder if you ever asked that question. I doubt it. If you do ask that question, what is our mind? Is it materialistic? Drawn towards technology, following the Western world, a vast movement in the technique, with the computers. Computers are taking over the world. They outthink, outsolve all the technological problems, think much faster, has infinite memory. Right? Your computer is taking over the world. The speaker saw in a television in California where the Japanese car makers, Honda, probably you've heard of the car, the workers were in white gloves, white apron, spotless. And there was a computer and a robot. The computer was telling the robot how to build a car, and the robot was screwing the nuts and polishing, doing everything that human beings generally do in building a car. Is our brain computerized? You understand my question? That is, we are being programmed as the computer is programmed. But our brains are much slower, not tremendously active. We only use very, very, very small part of the brain. So are we. Is the Indian mind materialistic, which is seeking? You know what materialism is, I don't tell you. And is the Indian mind, knowing always generalization is not correct, is the Indian mind, may I talk about it frankly? You don't mind? Huh? Sure you don't mind? Can you stand it? All right, so here goes. Because I like, this people would like to be as polite as possible, most respectful. But when we are investigating to a thing like this, we must be totally unbiased, totally impersonal, completely unidentified. The Indian mind, as one observes, is authoritarian bound. Right? It functions in a hierarchical movement. Right? It follows, it accepts authority. Ancient tradition, the authority of some ancient books, the authority of the guru, the authority of someone who says he knows he's illumined, blah, blah, and you follow him. Right? Would this be correct? Which means where there is authority, there is fear. Have you ever watched a higher politician meet you, how you grovel? Almost double up with false respect. This is one of the conditions of the Indian mind. Following authority, psychophantasism, fear, and therefore totally disorder. Right? No. Disorder in the streets, disorder in one's life, disorder in society, and each one out for himself. Not that it does not happen or take place in Europe or America or even Russia, but it's more obvious in this country. Utter carelessness, total disregard. Lack of consideration. Right? Would you accept all this? And the Indian mind is capable of absorbing everything. Different kinds of philosophies, however much contradictory they are. It's so tolerant. It'll accept everything. Right? Contradictory philosophies, contradictory gurus, contradictory concepts. So, when your brain is capable of such absorption, it becomes rather sloppy. Right? Sorry, sir, you can't see my face, but you can hear my voice. Come and sit in front. Come and sit in front, sir. Plenty of room here. Have some fun sitting. Come in, sir. Please come and look. You don't have to look around the corner. I hope you understand English. So, when such a mind, such brain is capable of absorbing, tolerant of dirt, squalor, disorder, lack of beauty, probably you never look at a tree. Never look at the open skies with all the brilliant stars. Put up with anything. So such a mind is a very sloppy mind. It's not a mind that's active, alive, seeing everything. So it's tradition bound. And very theoretical. Very clever in analysis. That's why they're doing such excellent work in Europe and America. They are capable of great analysis, more subtle than the Western world. But it's all theoretical, problematical, hypothetical, quoting the Gita, the Upanishads, and then trying to relate what has been said to your life. Obviously you don't. So essentially, the brain has become sloppy. Therefore, it's capable of becoming materialistic. Money, money, money. Isn't that so? Do look at it all, sirs. Don't accept the speaker's word and then refute it or argue against it, split hair about it, which you are doing now. But if you really want to try and utterly change such a quality of the brain which has become so dead, but technologically you become extraordinarily alive. But in the psychological world, which is much more interesting, there is no activity at all. You will talk about the self, the cosmos, discuss very clearly and cleverly a sophisticated brain which has lived in theories. But when you come down to your relationship with other human beings, there is nothing at all. And one asks, may I go on? You don't mind? I don't care if you mind or don't mind. These are facts. And one asks, is there love at all? Love, not attachment, not personal pleasure in sex and so on, but is there love in this country? That is generous, kind, considerate, having great sympathy. That's only the outward symbols, the outward activity, but the depth of love, compassion. Have you? Would, if you had such love, would there be war? Would you allow the government to accumulate armaments to kill other human beings? Inquire into all this, sir. Or we don't care what happens. How we treat our women, your wives. Have you ever gone into all this? The husband walks in front, the wife follows behind. And is the Indian mind, apart from the technological inventions, is the Indian mind capable of creation? You understand by the word creation? To live a creative life, not a life of pattern. You understand my art? Following pattern after pattern, system after system. And therefore, gradually, the brain withers through constant conflict. Is this the Indian mind? Please ask it of yourself. I'm not asking you. I'm not telling you. Is this the Indian mind that is so chaotic, so disorderly, irresponsible? Somebody the other day wanted to telephone to Europe, and nobody cared to answer, to get the number requested. Waited 2 or 3 hours to get it. But somebody appealed to a higher authority, and immediately there was action. Right? What do you think of all this? Do please see the tragedy of all this. You may read Gita, Upanishads, totally unrelated to daily life. There is no application of what you read to daily life. You hear this, and if I may point out, just words. You don't say, look, am I like that? Is my life disorderly? Is my life, my way of thinking, hierarchical? One has to have authority of law, naturally, the policeman and so on. But there too there is such vast corruption. You know all this. So what is the Indian mind? What's the French mind, the British mind? If you live there long enough, one begins to find out. I won't discuss the French mind or the English mind. That's an easy escape from our facing these facts. So what shall we do when an ancient race, 3,000 to 5,000 years of a certain culture, wiped out overnight, right? The Brahminic culture, don't get upset about using that word. You're all probably anti-Brahman, pro-Brahman, or whatever it is. The Brahminical culture, however bad or good, for 5,000 to 3,000 years has put a strong imprint on the Indian mind, brain. Their culture, their books and everything. And overnight is gone. You understand? It's gone. Why? You understand all this what I'm talking about? Are you interested in all this? You must ask this very serious question. Why, as a certain culture, lasting for thousands of years, which has had such strong imprint, strong impression on the human brain, why there is this anti-Brahmanism, pro-Brahman, you follow? This whole, why has it been wiped out? Now is the fashion in this country to smoke, to drink, to eat meat. Right, sir? I'm not pro or anti-Brahman, but I'm saying that these are the facts. And what's happened to that culture, whether it's good or bad. Was it just a veneer, surface, like a coat that you put on and throw off? The tradition, which is dead. Is this the Indian mind? And if it is, we're not dogmatic about it. That's why I'm saying if it is. If it is, what shall we do? Come on, sis, answer this question. Yes, carry on, sloppily, indifferent, sluggish. Have you ever noticed how that whenever you go to meetings, somebody is telling you what to do? The politicians, the gurus, the philosophers who are translating or interpreting the everlasting Gita. You know all this, don't you? Commentaries on Gita. That's the, if you have nothing to do, you make commentaries. You live on commentaries. You see, you understand, sir? So, realizing all this, what shall we do? Don't go to sleep. This is a question that you must answer. This is the crisis. Not wars or nuclear bombs. This is our crisis. That means one has to observe very carefully, become aware of ourselves. Because we are the history of mankind. We are the story of mankind. And if we do not know how to read that book with clarity, without any interpretation, then we are going to destroy ourselves. But you don't care, do you? You'll have clever arguments against all the speaker has said. And thereby prevent yourself from doing anything. That's what I call a sloppy mind. A brain that is analytical, clever, very subtle, and can, in their analysis, they remain at that superficial theoretical level, which has nothing whatsoever to do with our daily life. I hope you see the tragedy of this. So is it possible to change radically? Break through our condition and be free human beings. Is that enough? Please, there is no sense of scolding about this. No sense of being superior or inferior. I am not your guru. I am not a philosopher. Each one of us has to be both the teacher and the disciple. The teacher who teaches and the disciple who is learning. Learning from life, not from books. There is no end to the making of books. But each one of us, if we see what we are and learn from what we are and move, change, then we become both the guru and the disciple.